on dealing with ThinkCard, and he was still able to rock and roll on that Jarvan, so makes complete sense that they would focus on banning that one out as well. But really speaks to the confidence that they have in handling all the other lanes. Let's see what the first pick for Teammate is.
They're really, really thinking about this one. And it's a really tough choice. They have to think if do they want to prioritize a jungler since there's so many junglers off the table. Do they want to prioritize that Rise, which was so instrumental in the victory from LoLPro in the last game? There's a lot of first picks that they could go through, and there we go. They're going to go ahead and lock in the Rengar, force ThinkCard onto what many regard as a suboptimal jungler, whether it be Elise, whether it be something else that they might decide to go with. But whatever it is, it isn't going to be as good as probably what he's been practicing. So it's going to be a lot to think about for LoLPro here. But again, like I said, a lot of priority picks on the table. Is Keith McBrief going to get the Thresh again? Is Flair's going to be on that Rise again?
Yep, there are some seriously potent threats on this team that aren't ThinkCard here. The Rise came up huge for them. Keith McBrief was landing hooks left and right, and I'm surprised they let so much of that slip through, and it looks like it will be a Thresh pick, or at least they're thinking about it right now. See no reason to go any other direction. They could pick up the Lucian as well to deny that from Maple Street.
Yep, and both teams taking lots of times on those last picks and bans.
Oh,
and,
Zed
wow.
was available too. Yusui's going to get that big power pick.
Huge power pick because Yusui, seen him play Zed quite a bit, and it's pretty impressive. That was Teammates' last ban in the last game, but this game they decided to go ahead and ban the J4. We'll see if it's going to come back to haunt them because that Zed could be a high impact pick.
Yep, Fizz now being hovered here for Slushy. We have seen it played a couple times yesterday as well, so with the jungle already filled out, they are going to pick up that mid, or at least thinking about picking up that mid quite quickly now. Rise is still on the table, as you mentioned. That may be the pick away. Of course, we have seen a lot of blind top picks end relatively in disaster lately.
Yeah. Fizz has been a pretty hit or miss pick for some players on the challenger scene and on the world stage as well. It had some great games, but also had some very poor games. Slushy played a Fizz game yesterday against AKA and did really well. Got a 1v1 kill against AKA's mid laner. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to mirror that success. But again, Maple Street's going to be on that Lucian. He had a decent performance in the last game, but got caught out just one too many times. That Rengar from Porpoise Pops was really impressive last game. So pretty strong picks from both teams. Rise still on the table. Still has not been picked up yet. I can imagine that's high on LoLPro's list right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go for it.
Yeah, even in a blind situation, definitely a solid choice to pick up. They are waiting to pick their jungle last as the pool is relatively dry as far as that one goes, but thinking about who they are going to answer with in the bot lane, Corki has been the obvious choice so far, and hey, there it is. There's your Elise choice that we knew ThinkCard was so famous for, and he may go back to that comfort choice.
Yeah, I remember reading a Reddit thread probably like a year ago. Well before some of the Elise nerfs came in, ThinkCard made a really good post with a lot of like theory crafting and number crunching on Elise, and I was really impressed with it, and it stuck in my mind, and I was thinking, wow, this guy's a great Elise player, and was known for his Elise and solo queue until he transitioned more over to a Lee Sin player. But Elise is not nearly as good as she once was. Her win rates are pretty low in solo queue. She's played a lot more in competitive play just because your team is a little more coordinated. Late game, she becomes sort of like a stun bot if she doesn't get really far ahead early, which competitive teams can work around. So we'll have to see how well he does, if he can get an early presence. And I haven't seen him play it in a long time, so might not be as comfortable as a pick as it once was for him. So good strategy by teammate, but we'll have to see if it's going to work out by putting ThinkCard onto that Elise.
Speaking of interesting strategies as well, they go for the Morgana lock-in, which was long considered an old Thresh counter, but it has fallen out of favor with some of the nerfs she has seen lately, as well as Maokai got a couple as well in the post-Worlds patches. But it looks like it's going to be the other M. Malphite gets locked in for Cali Trolls, and we've seen him rock and roll on that lately.
No Nami or Janna pick thus far today. It's only been 2 games, but yesterday we saw Janna or Nami pick to ban, and I think just about every game, and I'm really surprised. I'm not sure if Cali Trolls just doesn't have Rise as part of his champion pool or what, but they are steering clear of that Rise. They banned it yesterday, They're just letting it go all the way to the 5th pick for the opposing team today, and Flyers is going to get that again. Cali Trolls is going to have a tough time. He is on a more comfortable pick, I'd say. He did really well in Aurelia last game, but it seemed like he was itching to initiate fights, and he just wasn't able to do it as well as he would be with, say, a Malphite or a Gnar.
Yep, absolutely comfortable choices all around the board, with the exception of maybe Thinkard, of course. He was well known for that, as you said, in the past. But with all of that, it seems like teammates kind of putting all their eggs into the jungle basket here. We'll see if that strategy does pay dividends for them going into this game. They are on the brink of losing out on a third consecutive BMC title.
Yep. And, I mean, it's tough to call. On paper, I would have to give the team comp advantage over to LoLPro. They have a very similar comp that they did last game. They still have the Rise, Thresh, which were probably the two main factors in their victory. And then, of course, comfort picks for the other 3 players. They should be able to ride this momentum, man. We'll have to see if teammates going to be able to deal with it. They have comfort picks as well. They have really good initiation power, which is something that teammate is one of their greatest strengths. As I said, initiating good team fights. And with Cali Trolls, people talk about it all the time. They talk about it in the LCS, on their road to the LCS. Cali Trolls is their shot caller. And being able to be the one to call the fights and be the one to initiate the fights makes that whole communication process a lot more streamlined, a lot more easier. So hopefully we'll see a game 3 here, and teammate can bring this one out.
We'll see if they'll be able to do it. It is an interesting composition from Team 8. See if they're able to execute the way they want to. This is definitely a catch kind of composition. If they do manage to land a Dark Binding on anyone or even get the bullet out, that might be 1-2 and done. But of course, there are a lot of weapons on the side of LoLPro as well, especially getting later on into the game. A lot of individual duelist champions as well.
I think the featured matchup is definitely going to be in that mid lane. You said duelist champions, and that's the ultimate duel in the mid lane and the ultimate room for outplays for both of these guys. I'm excited to watch. Fizz vs Zed is 2 assassins, 1 AP, 1 AD, and these guys had a good battle last game. It seems like Yusui got the best of Slushy, and I know Slushy's he wants to be out for revenge, so we're going to have to see how well he's going to be able to fare against what's probably a very scary Zed.
Yeah, there's a reason that does draw bans as well. Even though Zed is still favored in this meta currently, it's still a terrifying thing when Yusui gets his hands on it. So she might have his work cut out for him. Be interesting to see where these jungle focus first too. Thinkar does have some more options early on with regards to ganking lanes, as opposed to Porpoise, who might want to focus a little bit more on that early farm, as we mentioned Rengars are apt to do.
Yep, and I mentioned it last game, but I'm really looking for Thinkard to make a big early impact. Porpoise Pops, talked about it a little bit, was the one to make the impact earlier last game. But both junglers in the later stages of the game were kind of missing from the action, so I'll have to see how that's going to work out.
Yep. With that, we are going to be going into a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere, because when we return, it will be game number 2, potentially the final game for Team 8 if they don't pull it together here in the Black Monster Cup Fall 2014 semifinals. Don't go anywhere, because we will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're back on Summer's Rift for the second time today. Team 8 taking on LoLPro. And as unlikely as it might have sounded, the defending champions are up against the wall right now, one game away from not making it out of this semifinal match. LoLPro looking on the upswing. Azuma, what do you make of this opening strat?
We will have... Well, okay. The level 1 last game was a little bit rough.
As Slushy and Yusui just kind of walk by each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Looks like a bit of lag there, and that's probably what happened as we get a pause coming in. So after that, a little bit of awkwardness.
I was like,
we can talk a little bit more about general strats for these two teams.
Slushy was beelining for that mid lane without like pausing for a second, and I was like, oh, Yusui and Slushy are gonna have a collision course. But that ward, a little bit unfortunate, was in the range of the turret just barely, so they're able to pick that one up. So that's a little bit of vision loss for LoLPro. But T8 actually had a similar scare. They almost did not make it out of the group stages for this tournament as well. They're actually the lower seed coming into this semifinal match, coming into the quarterfinals.
Oh, Callie.
Wow.
Trigger fingers right there as you see Keith McBrief with the hook level 1 being dodged away with the flash. So all 5 members of LoLPro looking to make moves and strong-arming just the way Team 8 did last time. They're going to be able to just place a ward and walk away, so this should be a very safe start for both teams.
Caligirl's playing really ballsy there. He had a ward in the bush, so he saw the enemy team, but he still decided to go up super aggressive and forced to blow his flash early on. And they actually had full vision of that flash and everything, so that could be a target for ThinkCard early on to head up and gank that top lane in a lane that's already probably going to be pretty rough for Caligirls as it is.
Of course, on the side of Team 8, they already managed to get a couple of deep wards down as well, so all of this should be sighted out, everything that is happening. You do see the blue buff start going over for ThinkCard and the red as well for Porpoise, so both junglers going to have tabs on each other, quite nice and easy.
And similar starts to last game. No lane swaps, no funny business. Straight up lane, so when this happens, it's going to be a lot on the junglers to provide the pressure for the lanes, and I mentioned the featured matchup in the mid lane, so that could be where we see a lot of action. Both Fizz and Zed are usually pretty hard to gank unless you catch them in a scuffle, so I'm looking to those guys to see where the early action is going to come from, probably.
Now Cali Trolls taking a little bit of poke out from flares as well. Yusui trying to fight Slushy at the level 1 right now, and down in the bot lane, Maple and Dodo just keep on dodging all the skill shots as they can. We have seen these matchups pretty frequently played out between not just these teams, but a lot of the teams we saw competing yesterday as well, so nothing super new here, although Porpoise waiting in the wings of this red buff. He knows ThinkCard is on the way, and he looking to fight. There he goes, jumping out there, gets it right on, and ThinkCard, can he splat the spider? The flash, he mistimes it, but he's going to get a jump on, and that's first blood for Porpoise Deluxe.
And both games, Porpoise Pops has been instrumental in the first blood, and that time it's just a straight-up jungle invade, and taking advantage of Elise's now pretty heavy weaknesses in the early game as far as being tanky goes, and making great use of Rengar's early power inside of a jungle with bushes to run back and forth to. So not only did he get the first blood, he also takes the blue buff away and the red buff away. So basically the 3 buff swing plus first blood for Porpoise Pops. That's a great start for Team 8.
Not only that, he was able to he was incredibly confident, not even waiting for the red to do a significant amount of damage to ThinkCard too, so that puts the spider quite far behind, as you mentioned, and Porpoise Deluxe is able to just move around leisurely in his own jungle. Slushy and Yusui continue to duke it out right now, but it's just slaps back and forth. They don't have the ultimates available. Slushy got to be careful he doesn't take too much damage from Yusui before he comes right back in the lane.
That's a dangerous game to play. I would assume that Yusui would come out ahead in the CS department. He's got a lot more tools to be able to push Slushy off the lane. He does start Flask, as is standard for Fizz, so he's got a little bit of breathing room, but still, like you said, got to be really careful. And these junglers are about to meet up in this mid lane bush. I think Porpoise spotted ThinkCard, but I'm not sure if ThinkCard spotted Porpoise.
He's just starting his back really early, but he wasn't popped on that one. Just hits level 4 right now as ThinkCard hits 3. This could be trouble as they're waiting to set this one up. ThinkCard has to know this is happening, sends an explosive spiderling in there, so that one is going to connect and give up the game. Yusui still playing it out as safe as he possibly can as well, throwing shurikens left and right.
Cali Trolls has been doing really well up in this top lane. He is going that utility build that we saw yesterday, going not deep into utility, but enough to get the extra sustain for the potions. But Flares to Zoom, we'll see if this gank is going to work.
Yeah, this might happen right now. Flares does have enough mana for the Rune Prison. Thinkard's going to be able to jump on him, but that rock is hard to crack, and they won't be able to finish it off just yet. So Thinkard does make a nice move to capitalize on the positional error of Cali Trolls, but it's not going to be enough.
He's still got some sustain left as well. He's got that extra biscuit. He's got the mana potion, so he should be okay under this turret. I'm not sure if they're going to go for a dive. His flash is very close to being up, and I'm sure that they have that timed. I'm not actually sure how deep in the utility tree he actually goes, if he has the reduced cooldown on the summoner spells or not to mess up with their flash timings, but they have to know it's up by now. And staying even in that lane on CS, so that's pretty impressive despite not having his flash down and dealing with a gank from Thinkard.
So that said and done, a lot of early action has really come to nothing. 1 kill to none, and it's a very, very tiny gold lead in favor of teammates so far in this game. Nothing else really separating the difference except that pick off on Porpoise. So the jungle being the largest disparity right now.
Yeah, just a little bit of a CS different in the bot lane and the mid lane is what's keeping LoLPro in this game as far as gold goes. And Porpoise sneaks down here to the bottom lane. They don't get any vision on him, but Keeping Brief is playing, has very defensive positioning, so I'm not sure if this gank is going to be successful or not. We'll see how much time he wastes down here. The slower he gets to level 6, the worse off he's going to be.
Now Wiz and Keith have to know something's up. It's just the game senses are tingling right now and they ping it out. So Porpoise may not get anything for his trouble on here, so that might buy enough time for Thinkard to be able to catch right back on up to him. This game is still very, very early on. The Dark Binding is going to land on a Wiz Fusion. He does take a little bit of damage, but he gets the Lantern out to safety, and Porpoise is revealed. He'll have to go back to the jungle. Meanwhile, Thinkard, taking advantage of his absence, moves on in to his territory.
Yeah, and that's a good move by Thinkard. Seeing him on the bottom side of the map. Wiz Fusion does actually take quite a bit of punishment, though. Oh, this mid lane.
Yeah, Yusui could be in trouble. He does have Deathmark now available. Slushie does not have his ultimate. Chum the Waters would be a pretty difficult spell to land with a well-placed Living Shadow as well, so Yusui able to just kite it out for the time being, and Porpoise has to go disappointed back into the opposite side jungle as well. So Thinkard has to be careful. He could get caught out. Only level 4 still, and Cali Troll's on the chase to intercept right now. Porpoise pops in the area as well. The Spider is getting focused down. Yusui could come to the rescue, but he's very, very low, and he might be able to just get away. A little slow reaction time from Porpoise Deluxe.
Yeah, and meanwhile in the mid lane, Yusui goes ahead and flashes the playful Trickster from Slushie 8 and gets the kill onto him with the death mark. So Slushie a little bit over aggressive there, knowing Yusui has summoners and the ultimate. He used the Chum the Waters to try and get the kill, and then used the playful Trickster to try and be aggressive, but to no avail. And he's gonna fall for that one, to fall pretty far behind. That's not something you want to do as Gibbs Zed kills this early.
Yeah, that's a big problem right now, especially he was already down in the CS department too, so maybe a little bit distracted there.
Well, starting to slow down a little bit. That first blood from Porpoise Pop's not really giving them much of an advantage. Both teleports still up for the top laners. The flash is still up for the top laners, so we could see some dragon action here pretty soon, or some action on the bot lane. But right now it seems like LoLPro is in a pretty good position. Porpoise level 6. He's really going to want to make an impact with that first ultimate to try and keep his team in the game.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the dragon has been there, but nobody has really even eyeballed. The only semblance of effort that's gone in that general direction is a couple of pink wards, not even that close to the pit. For Team 8 now, Maple and Dodo moving away. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Yusui trying to set up a little something with Thinkard right now. Here comes Flares. He's going to get spotted out by that pink as well. Going to find out, should be able to clear it away, and they do force Lucy to back off. This dragon now being pinged out by Team 8, but it ends up being LoLPro that makes moves towards it first, and all 5 members collapsing on this one. They should be able to secure it up.
This is really well timed. They get the timer on the blue buff. They know that he's going to be on that side of the map because they see him on the ward. As soon as that comes up, they head right towards the dragon. And to be honest, they had the stronger team. They knew Flares was running down as well, so they would have had the advantage of having their top laner there at the start of the fight instead of having to teleport in. So just great moves all around by LoLPro. And teammate on the ropes. This could be the end.
Well, it might be a little bit early to sing in their death just too soon because Maple Street and Dodo are answering back a little bit onto this tower. However, Keith able to zone it in here. It's only about 10 minutes into this game, but still, that dragon was definitely not something they should have given up lightly. Slushy with his blue buff. Poor consolation prize to not being able to secure the Drake. Yusui now still a solid lead on his opponent, and he's not quite got Blade of the Rune King just yet, but he should be able to go back and pick it up any minute.
Just a really bold move for teammate to leave up Zed and Rise. They focus so much on trying to take things away from ThinkCard that they let a lot of other high priority picks come out. And I knew from the get-go that it was going to be a tough road for Slushy in that mid going up against Yusui Zed. And, I mean, he's being punished for it right now. Yusui is playing very aggressively. And you said he has a CS lead. He got that 1v1 kill, which is not something you want to see in competitive play in the mid lane. And LoLPro just solidifying their lead right now. But still, like I said, Cali Trolls on those initiation champions. Teammate loves to find those good fights, and if they can find some of those good fights in the mid game, they'll still be okay.
Absolutely. Now, Cali Trolls took a little bit of poke from Flares, and again, it's been kind of a bash back and forth. Here we go, Unstoppable Force into tower range. Flares, he's in a bit of trouble as well. The Rock is going to be able to pick him up, or is it? The flash away, the flash back. Cali Trolls, he finds ThinkCard out in the jungle, and that might have just been the bait that they wanted. Flashes left and right again. ThinkCard, can they go for the dive? He's still alive there, and there he goes. That's one more pickup. That time, it's ThinkCard getting the credit for this one. Bottom tower now being answered back by Team 8, but they will not be able to finish it off.
So close there. The Q came up from Cali Trolls right as he flashed over the wall, but he got stunned from the cocoon. Such an impressive bait. Such intuition by ThinkCard to be in that spot at that time. And the communication with Flares to flash back over that wall instead of trying to keep running back towards his turret.
Oh, Dodo, he's caught, but so is Keith McBrief. Now the teleport coming in for Flares. They see Dodo. He's going to preemptively flash away, but the Valk comes in. Wiz Fusion trying to finish this one off if he'll be able to. One more big one. He flashes for... Oh, Dodo is down. That's one more pickup. And Maple Street now on his own against this three-man gank squad. He has to burn his flash to get under tower. Keith is low as well. He gets pulled in. They mistimed that, but it's still a double kill going over to Wiz Fusion.
I'm so impressed with Flares' play thus far. In this game, on this rise. Oh, Cali Trolls.
That teleport came in a little bit late, but they're still able to make some plays happen. They get him hooked. You're not going back to tower range. Get over here. And they managed to pick him off. The Shark's not going to be able to connect. Yusui just fancy footwork dodges it out. And again, LoLPro coming up with the better play overall. 3,000 gold lead in this game.
That's a huge gold lead this early on. And again, Team 8 just sort of look like they're flailing. They're a little bit more disorganized than we've seen them in the past, especially yesterday. AKA not as formidable as an opponent as LoLPro is. And LoLPro is just playing this so well. Like I said, they focus so much attention on putting ThinkCard on something that he might not be as comfortable with. But he's been doing pretty well on that, at least being at the right place at the right time. And again, I gotta hand it to Flares. His Rise play has been so impressive in these last two games. Just always having great positioning, not afraid to go in when a lot of other Rises would inclined to go out. So they're in such a great position right now to win this and take this series 2-0.
Again, the action keeps coming hot and heavy in the early game for both these teams. Definitely not afraid to fight it out, but it has been LoLPro that's getting the better of it, as you mentioned. So very surprising how much we have seen Team 8 crumble so far in this series. They are in a little bit of trouble on the back foot, and will they be able to defend their title? I mean, that chance is starting to slip away here.
Yeah, and a big confidence boost for LoLPro, knowing that they can take games off of what is now an LCS team. Yeah, so that's going to be big for them. And Cali Trolls has taken so much punishment, but here's Slushy.
Yep, he is going to try and make the combo happen. They do get in there. He's going to be able to get the Shark out as well. Playful Trickster onto Flares, and that is the 1-2 punch they're looking for. Dodo's caught in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Wiz Fusion, can he finish it up? Yes, he can. Porpoise is by himself now, and Keith, again, the hooks keep coming. Why do they keep letting him have Thresh? I have no idea.
All 3 games that he's played Thresh over the past 2 days, just hook after hook after hook, setting up plays for his team. And, I mean, just a hook is not the best, but his team is not afraid to follow up whenever he lands one, and they know, they have the confidence in him that they say, okay, he said, I'm going for a hook. They know to follow up right away. So just another pick for them. They pick up a good kill in the top lane, but Calitrolls overstays his welcome.
Yep, Think Card now trying to make moves here. He's caught Calitrolls on the wrong side of the tower, and he should be going down, but here comes Porpoise Pops. One more jump up. Think Card's able to do it with the rappel. Can he get away? Yes, he can. Now he's going to turn back on to Porpoise once again because Flares is coming to the rescue. Meanwhile, the mid lane, Slushy taking a whole lot of poke from Wiz Fusion and has to back off of this one. Think Card, again, is able to escape from that. So, again, LoLPro coming up with the big plays right now. They have themselves nearly a 5,000 gold advantage, and Dragon is about to be up.
Calitrolls has found himself out of position a couple times in this game, has managed to rack up 3 deaths. He's keeping up in CS.
Oh, no, Flares.
Ooh, that's...
He just completely chased Porpoise away. That's a terrifying Rise.
Yeah. Rise is always terrifying. I don't know.
True, but this early in the game, that is troubling if your teammate nonetheless. So, with that tower now being taken out, he has teleport not up quite yet, but it's going to be a little bit sooner than Cali. If they do try to set up for that, they will be moving 3 members, almost 4 now, in direction of this Dragon. Here comes Calitrolls as well. The hook's going to land. Actually, they might just go for kills here. Keep the grief. Going to go over the wall, but he's by himself a little bit too early. Had to flash back into the pit. Nonetheless, they can still start up the Dragon if they want it, but they're thinking twice.
A little bit trigger happy there, Keep Me Brief. A good hook, but I don't think he should have taken it. Has to blow his flash for that one, but I think LoLPro is pretty confident in this one. They know that they're stronger. We'll have to see if teammate can initiate a good fight. It's going to be really tough for them to win one. Rise just finished his Rod of Ages, so that's going to be stacking. He's pretty powerful. Yusui has Blade the Ranking. Oh, the hook lands on Calitrolls, but
they're going to be able to start up this Dragon right now if they can get the zone off. But Keith is looking a little unhealthy here. All 5 members of teammate are looking to try and make something happen, but Porpoise is hanging in the back trying to keep himself from being seen. The Rune Prison comes in on Cali. Here we go. The Dragon is low. They will be fight. This might be a smite fight. Think Card's going to come in. He does secure it up. Here they go. The fight's starting. The Flares is low. The Chum the Waters comes out. That's going to be a pick off onto Flares and keep the Briefer down. One more. It's a double kill going over to Slushy, but they lose Maple and Dodo on the back half of it. Slushy now by himself. Can he get Yusui? No, he can't. The heal comes in. Slushy just barely doesn't get this one, and it's only Slushy and Porpoise remaining, and make that Porpoise. He gets away with a sliver of a health bar, but it's 3 members still standing for LoLPro. That is going to be a 4-4-3.
And the Dragon, Think Card manages to smite that away from Porpoise Pops at the beginning of that fight. So again, another swing for LoLPro. And at the beginning of that fight, that looked pretty good for teammate, but they just didn't have the sustained damage in the fight. Once the fight was initiated, once the Chum the Waters and the Unstoppable Force had come out, they just couldn't get the damage, and Yusui managed to get to the back line and take out Maple Street really early on. So just really rough for teammate, and just a great job by LoLPro to clean up that fight. And Wiz Fusion is really showing up in this game, 5-0-2. It's rough to fight those early Dragons against a Corki who just finished a Trinity Force, and it just shows right there.
He doesn't even need boots, man. He has been completely on rails this game. Not to mention perfectly timed smiting by Think Card when it almost looked like he wouldn't quite get it there. Not even holding out, giving Porpoise the opportunity to get that steal. So on top of winning the fight, they do secure up the Dragon and shore up their lead. Now it is about 8,000, and that is absolutely massive at 18 minutes into the game. Team 8 is seriously on the back foot in this series.
And you have to look at their team comp as well. In the late game, they're just not going to be nearly as powerful as LoLPro's composition. They just don't have enough peel for Maple Street on the back line. Their team is a team that wants to go in. Calitrolls and Porpoise Pops are 2 initiators that initiate in. They're not great at disengaging, so Maple Street's going to have a hard time being able to survive that death mark on the back line.
Oh, Dodo, man, he nearly goes down in that one. Chum the Water's not even doing that much damage. Slushy getting it all returned to him. That is going to be another pickup for Flares right there as they finally answer back onto Dodo. And again, teammate goes all in, and they don't get anything for their trouble.
I mean, they knew it was a 4v4, but at this point, you got to know that you're so far behind that a 4v4 is not going to be very beneficial for them. And
oh, the hook lands again. They caught Slushy. He's going to go down. It doesn't even matter if he can Playful Trickster. One more shot will do it. And Wiz Fusion valks right on up. They should be able to take down the tower now. And again, Calitrolls not even able to back away. Continues to commit to this top. He did answer a turret, but they're going to lose even more for that one with Yusui splitting down the bot.
And Zed is such a better split pusher than Calitrolls. So LoLPro just, again, comes out so far on top of that little exchange. They get a turret, they get a couple kills, they come on top of that team fight. They're more successful in the split push. This is just looking so grim right now for Teammate. I just don't see a way that they're going to be able to come back in this game. Even with an ideal initiation, it's still going to be really hard for them because the carries are just so slippery for LoLPro at this point. And it's, I mean, if they find a perfect fight, maybe, but it's going to be tough. Right now, it's a 10,000 gold lead for LoLPro.
Yep.
Oh, the ultimate used. What?
Uh-oh. Here we go. They're going to get jump onto Keith McBrief. They might be able to secure him up here, and just a misposition from Keith is going to result in one quick pickup for Team 8. Maybe they have the chance to get back into something with the numbers advantage now. They are bringing up all their members towards this mid lane, but they do not have an outer turret on this lane. They'll have to try and secure this one up quite quick. They are at a serious disadvantage. The teleport's coming in from Flares, and they might be able to 4v5 this one. Dark Binding going to land onto Flares. The Cocoon's not going to connect onto Cali Trolls thanks to the Black Shield. And Yusui coming around the side as well. Again, they chase them off 4v5. That is not a really confidence-inspiring move if you're Team 8.
Yeah, they used a lot of resources. Oh, Yusui going super aggressive.
Oh, he might be able to get something here. 1v2. He's finds dead. Porpoise. The death mark should finish him off, and he goes in for round number 2. Slushy, he's in trouble now. The shurikens were flying, but they didn't quite connect. Nonetheless, they continue to move on forward, and Yusui so confident, 4-0-3 on the Zed, and they are just making moves and styling all over Team 8.
Without the chum in the water sub, there's just nothing that's going to stop Yusui in these team fights. Again, Team 8, both times their team comp has sort of been about all forward. So when they lose one of their main initiators or one of their main initiating tools, they just don't have much to deal with these carries that are coming out from LoLPro. And we've seen a lot of mispositioning from them over this series, and LoLPro has just been really great at capitalizing. And now there's just not much that's going to stop them from the siege. Cali Trolls is positioning aggressively, but
the culling helped there. But again, they can continue to do this. They don't even have really a whole lot left to defend when they want to push in like this. You've got the Tormented Soil. It's going to be difficult for them to push this one back, especially with the 10k gold lead that LoLPro has. They can go all in on this one. They are going to catch Think Card on one more Dark Binding and get a bullet off on him as well, but he should be able to get away from this. So for the time being, Team 8 does manage to push off the siege, but for how long?
Once they have okay wave clear, and at some point they just have to say, we have to go in. They have to be able to prevent just bleeding out in this game, and try and find a way to initiate a good fight. That mid lane pick onto Keith McBrief was good, but it's just so underwhelming when all you get, you use 2 ultimates and all you get is a kill on the support, and the other 4 members of their team are still able to push you back. So they want to try and get picks here and there. They want to try and get as much as they can in this game, but it just looks like they're starting to bleed out. Oh, they go into Flares.
Yep, they're going to be able to find something there. Maybe Flares will go down. The Chum the Waters comes up, but he still takes a Lantern back to safety. And now it's Porpoise taking a lot of damage. The chase is still on. Slushy might be able to finish him off, but he doesn't have enough damage. Slushy now in tower range. They're still doing damage. Keith McBrief face tanking it. Flares still lives, and they manage to kill Keith McBrief. But what a commitment, and they nearly lose even more for it. Wiz Fusion now coming to defend. Think Card pushing Maple Street off, and that was a ballsy move. It did pay off, but just barely, and they even lost the dragon in all of that to Wiz Fusion soloing it. 10k gold lead still for LoLPro. Hard to say hashtag worth.
Flares, almost every single ultimate on the team onto him. Unstoppable Force into Chum the Waters, into the Rengar ultimate, and he still managed to survive. Keith McBrief, a valiant effort, using the face of the mountain to just barely save Flares, but ends up falling himself.
Yusui with the shurikens are starting to hurt right now, and Slushy better think twice. Should be able to finish this one off. Now Baron being started, 2 members of LoLPro while the split push commences. This is a very, very greedy move, but it is one that is well calculated here. Dodo, the only one in the area, should be able to spot this one out for teammate, but can he do anything about it? The Baron is already at half health. They are pinging it out, and this is going to be trouble. The hook's not going to connect. Dodo's still trying to make something happen here, but it's little chance for him to get the steal off. Nobody from teammates in the area. Now they're chasing Dodo out. Think Card, they're going to be able to smite the Baron down. Dodo's going down as well. They get themselves a little bit extra dessert on top of dinner, and Porpoise Pops is also out of the picture as well.
Porpoise Pops was running up to try and go for a valiant steal on the Baron, but Yusui was waiting there for him. There was just nothing that teammate could do to try and stop that Baron, and Yusui's just so far ahead. Wiz Fusion as well, 503, 603. there's just not much that they can do. Slushy can't even get close, and Maple Street can't even think twice about getting near this fight because Yusui will just instantly blow him up without much peel from the side of Team 8.
Yep, and here does come Yusui right now. Those kills, the cherry on top of the Baron Sunday as Yusui looks to make moves down to the spot side. It looks like it's all over but the crying. If they can manage to break into this base, they have a 14k gold advantage right now, and completely controlling the pace of this game is LoLPro. Can Team 8 come back into this one? They need to take the perfect engage, but they're way too scared to do it with the Baron buff on all 5 members of LoLPro.
You said it right, the perfect engage. And not only at this point is it going to take the perfect engage, it's going to take a lot of mistakes from LoLPro to let Team 8 get back into this one. And it just doesn't seem like they're going to give those type of mistakes up.
Yep, outer turret falling right now. Yusui trying to make some moves onto this tower as well. Slushy, every time he goes in, he takes far more damage than he returns, and he gets popped. Yusui is able to take that one down now, and Slushy is out of the picture. Here we go. Outer tower now being fired down upon. Here comes Porpoise. Can he get in on Keith McBrief? They might be able to take him down, but the damage is just too much. Dodo is going to melt as well. Wiz Fusion doesn't matter if he's exhausted. He can still do the damage, and he pushes on forward to Maple Street. This tower should be down in just a moment. It's being tanked up by Thinkard. They've still got the Baron. They only lost Keith McBrief and all that. They got 3 members for their trouble. Here comes Calitrolls with the unstoppable force, but it won't be enough at all. Flares, they're going to return fire. Calitrolls is down. That's a legendary kill for Wiz Fusion. Maple Street is the last man standing right now. Slushy's going to be able to come on back up, but this tower is down. They're also losing ground on the bot side. Yusui's pushing in. This is a nightmare scenario for Team 8 right now. They're about to be knocked out of the Black Monster Cup. Yusui still returning damage, and he pops him again. He gets Slushy again on the backside. They're taking inhibitors down left and right. There comes the death mark. Yusui so confident he's going to be able to get Dodo. Can he get away? Yes, he can. Flares is also going to walk it out. They've got 1 inhibitor, almost 2, and they continue to push this lead forward, and it doesn't look like there's anything that Team 8 can do to get back into this game.
I called Yusui the Challenger mid lane prodigy earlier in the stream, and he's really living up to that name. He killed Slushy twice in a row without using his death mark either time. And he was able to save it for a time when he really needed it against Dodo, gets the kill, and barely escapes with his life. Just such impressive Zed play happening in this game, and I think Team 8 is really regretting letting him have that champion. The Jarvan just didn't seem like a ban that was really necessary for them to go with, because Thinkard's having a fantastic game on Elise, and the hook lands on the Porpoise.
Speaking of fantastic games, Porpoise Pop, he just knows he's done right now, but Keith has been landing every single one of those hooks, except for that one.
He gets it off!
Porpoise does get away here, so even so, they're still making plays. Wiz Fusion going to get yet another pickup onto Maple Street, and they just have the scaling completely in their control. Keith is going to land onto Calitrolls, gets the double flay back onto Slushy as well, and they continue to chase on forward. Yusui on the bot side, completely unperturbed out of all of this. Slushy going to be able to get away, or is he? He goes down. That's another pickup. The Chum the Waters comes out. It barely does any damage, even to the support from LoLPro, and right now this game is looking about to be closed out. They just want to secure every advantage that they have. Pushing on the mid side with a pretty massive minion wave, they should be able to take out this inhibitor, but without Slushy or Maple for a few more seconds, it's gonna be hard to defend these last remaining inhibitors. All 3 inhibs are now down. That is going to be a rough comeback if Team 8 even wants to try and attempt it. At this point, you got to seriously start thinking about FF. Here comes Calitrolls. He goes back with his unstoppable force. That's the wrong direction if you want to try and win the game. Nexus Tower's being fired down. Dodo, a max range hook. Keith McBrief goes on in. This could be the final fight of the game, and this game is all going to be over. The Black Monster Cup champions is not going to be Team 8 this year. Down it goes. The Nexus explodes in a blaze of fury, just like Team 8's hopes. LoLPro moving on to the finals.
I am so impressed with this LoLPro lineup. A 2-0, 2 days in a row. The quarterfinals, now the semifinals. They take out the 2-time reigning champs and now an LCS team in Team 8 in pretty dominating fashion. That second game was just really impressive from everybody on the LoLPro lineup. And I mean, Team 8, they had a good showing yesterday. Today, didn't really show up as much, but LoLPro, I would definitely say that even whoever wins the next match, LoLPro, after that performance, is going to be the favorites moving on to the finals on Monday. Such a fantastic win for them.
Definitely some key bans. You got to think about whoever is their opponents, that's for sure. Do not let Yusui get Zed, and do not let Keith McBrief play Thresh. Those have been instrumental in their victories, continuing to be, but that is all said and done in 2 games now. We have our finalist, our first finalist. It's going to be Team LoLPro, the new and improved Team LoLPro, it would seem. And their opponents, well, we're going to find out up next, because after a brief break, we will be taking you to Zenith Esports versus Enemy Esports to determine the second opponent in the finals. But they will have a monster task, whoever it is, to take on this LoLPro squad. But don't go anywhere, guys. You are watching the Black Monster Cup Fall 2014 semifinal playoffs. We will return after this.
Do you think of me